Hello, my name is Tara McGowan, and I am delighted to be part of this international online festival for peace, organized by Flavia Wolfowitz from Kamishibai, Brazil, and also the co-directors Tere Farfan Garcia from Mexico and Akiko Mochizuki from Japan. And also I'd like to thank Walter Ritter and Donna Tamaki, my co-directors for the World Kamishibai Forum. They have also been helping me organize this festival with everyone, and Walter will be part of it as well. What I'd like to share with you today is something that is new for me with Kamishibai. For those of you who know me, you may know that I have spent many years, 2 decades, in fact, working with Kamishibai and teaching about Japanese culture through Kamishibai stories. And one of the most popular, of course, is the Japanese obake, ghosts, or yure, or yokai. Yokai are monsters. And so some of the transformations that you see with Kamishibai, you may have seen this before. This is an early form of Tachie Kamishibai. You see a beautiful woman there, but when you flip the card very quickly, she turns into what's called a Rokurokubi ghost. So these were very popular stock figures in Japanese Kamishibai from the beginning. Another popular character, of course, is tanuki, and tanuki are famous shapeshifters. So when he bangs his belly drum, pom poko pom, he turns into a hitotsume kozo, or one-eyed ghost. So these are the kinds of stories and characters that I often use in my programming to teach about Japanese culture. But when I was working on the World Kamishibai Forum, I had the great pleasure to speak with Pepe Cabana Kohachi, who many of you know. And Pepe has done a wonderful fusion of his Peruvian background and his Japanese background. So that really inspired me. And I started to think, what would that look like for me? My background is from Norway. And thinking about how to make a fusion of my Norwegian background and my lifelong devotion to Japanese culture, I took a stage and decided to make it over into a Norwegian butai with rosemaling, or rose painting. My mother, Kari Kisa McGowan, was born in Skien, Norway in 1931. This is a painting of her my father did wearing her bunad, her national costume from Telemark. And this is a picture of me in a bunad that my mother helped me to make. My mother told us stories from Norway, and some of my favorite ones were illustrated by Theodor Severin Kittelsen. Kittelsen is one of the most popular Norwegian artists, and he was famous for the way he illustrated the creatures that come up in Norwegian folklore. In Norway, there are also many different kinds of troll creatures. For instance, there is the nok, or water sprite, very much like the kappa in Japan, who waits in the marshes or the waters for children to pass by. Then there are also little trolls called nisse that live in the barns. But the scariest troll of all for me was Kittelsen's illustration of the story that I'm about to tell to you in Kamishibai form. I wanted to show you Kittelsen's version because I definitely was inspired by his illustrations. And this troll hag with her head under her arm and a sack on her back terrified me throughout my childhood, and still does. Butterball, Smørbuk, a Norwegian folktale collected by Asbjørnsen and Moe and illustrated and adapted by Tara McGowan. Det var en gang. Once upon a time, deep in the mountains of Norway, there lived a little boy who was so round and plump and fond of good things to eat that his mother called him Smørbuk, or Butterball. Now, Smørbuk's mother was poor, but whatever small amount of money or ingredients she had, she put into making delicious foods for her little Butterball. Why, this morning she's making rundstykker, hot cross buns. But just as she was stirring the dough, suddenly, woof, 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 they heard Goldtooth, their dog, barking. Quick, Butterball, run outside and see who Gultan's barking at, said his mother. And so Butterball did. But in the distance, what did he see coming toward him but a giant troll hag with her head under her arm and a sack on her back. Oh, mother, it's a giant troll hag coming. Quick, Butterball, run behind the breadboard and hide, said his mother. And so that is what Butterball did. And in came the troll hag. Good dog, she said. Good day to you, said Butterball's mother. You wouldn't happen to know where that little Butterball of yours is, would you? Well, he is out hunting for grouse with his father, and he won't be back until dinner time. Oh, what a shame, said the troll hag, for in this sack of mine I have the most beautiful little silver knife for him. Pip, pip, here I am, said Butterball, and he jumped out from behind the breadboard. Oh, I am much too old to get into the sack and get it myself, said the troll hag. You'll just have to crawl inside and find it. Well, little Butterball was willing to do that, and no sooner had he crawled inside the sack when suddenly he found himself upside the sack, being shaken up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down as the troll hag carried him up the mountain path until finally he noticed that it was slowing down because the troll hag was getting tired. And finally it stopped altogether, and he heard the troll hag was taking a nap. By that point, little Butterball had found the knife, and so he cut a hole in the sack, and in his place he put a giant tree root. When the troll hag came home, she picked up the sack and poured out a giant tree root. Oh, she was angry. He's not going to get away with that. And the very next day, the troll hag set out to get Smørbuk. That morning, Smørbuk's mother was making for him another favorite dish. This time, it was fyrstekake, the first cake with almond paste in it. He couldn't wait. But suddenly, they heard Gultan started to bark. Quick, Butterball, run out and see who Gultan's barking at. And Butterball did, but what did he see in the distance? That troll hag was coming up the mountain path again. Oh, mother, he cried, it's that troll hag with her head under her arm and a sack on her back. Quick, Butterball, run behind the woodboard and hide. Well, Butterball did, and right after him in came the troll hag herself. Good dog, said the troll hag. Good day to you, said Butterball's mother. And where is that little Butterball of yours today? Oh, I think he's out hunting with his father. He won't be back until dinner time. What a shame, said the troll, for in my sack today I have the most beautiful little silver fork for him. Pip, pip, here I am, said Butterball, and he jumped out from behind the breadboard. I'm much too old to get it myself, said the troll. You'll have to go into the sack and find it. Well, and so he did, and no sooner had he crawled inside than there he was, back in the sack, and up and down and up and down and up and down he went, until finally he noticed that it started to get slow again. Well, as you may recall, Butterball was a round and fat little boy, and so he was heavy, even for a giant troll hag, and after a while, she got so tired, she stopped and started to sleep. Well, Butterball found the fork And it wasn't so easy this time, but he made a hole in the sack. And when he got out, he put inside the sack a big white stone. Well, the troll hag got home. She poured what was in her sack out. Bang! Crash! It went right through her pot, made a hole in it, and all the water poured out. Oh, she was furious now. Does that little Butterball think he can get away? I'm going to get him for sure next time. And the very next day, she set out again. Well, that morning, Butterball's mother was making something else delicious for him. Can you guess what it might be? One of his other favorites called lefse. But yet again, they heard woof, 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 woof. Gultan was barking. Quick, Butterball, run out and see who Gultan's barking at. So Smudbook did. But what did he see in the distance? I bet you can guess by this time. The giant troll hag was coming up the mountain path again. Oh, mother, it's that troll hag again. Quick, run behind the breadboard, said his mother, and he did. And sure enough, right behind him came the troll hag, and in she came. Good dog, good dog. Good day to you, said Butterball's mother. And where is that Butterball today? Oh, I think he's out hunting, said the mother. Well, that's just too bad, because in my bag I have a silver spoon just for him. Yip, yip, here I am, said Butterball, and he jumped out from behind the breadboard, and just as before, the troll hag said she couldn't get it herself, and into the sack he went to find the spoon, and no sooner did he than he was back in the sack again. Down and up and down and up and down and up and down he went. But this time, there was a spoon. Do you think that Butterball could cut a hole in the sack with a spoon? No, indeed. But this time, the troll hag was not going to take any chances. She did not take a nap. When she got home, she emptied her sack, and what fell out but Butterball? Ha ha, she said, I got you this time, and you're not getting away. Doctor, she called, my daughter, Dr. Min, come and don't forget the knife. We have a Butterball to eat tonight. Well, out came the troll's daughter, who looked very much like her mother. She, too, had her head under her arm, as you can see, and she was carrying a knife. Ah, that's good, my daughter, said the troll hag. You are going to have to cut this little boy up and put him in the pot of boiling water and make a soup of him, for I have to go out to the troll kirke, to the big cave where the trolls gather, and from there I'll get my dinner guest. And so the troll hag set out to find the dinner guest, and left her daughter to cut up Butterball. But the daughter had never made a Butterball stew before, and she didn't know how to get started. Oh, no worries, said Butterball. Just hand me your head and I'll show you. And so she handed him her head, and he threw it into the bed nearby. And then chop, 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 he cut up the daughter into little pieces and threw her into the soup instead. When the soup was good and boiling, Butterball heard sounds of people coming, and so quickly he grabbed the root and the rock, and he climbed up above the doorway, just in time, for as you can see, the troll hag was bringing home her dinner guest, a giant mountain troll. Well, when they got into the house, they could smell the delicious soup, and they saw the daughter asleep in the bed, or so they thought. And so the troll hag immediately got a spoon and tasted the broth. She said, tastes good, this Butterball broth. Tastes good, daughter broth, said Butterball from above the doorway, but they didn't hear him. The troll hag got another big spoonful of the soup and gave it to the mountain troll to try. Said the mountain troll, tastes good, this Butterball broth. Tastes good, daughter broth, said Butterball from above the doorway. And this time they heard him, and this time they went to the door to find out who it was making the sound. And just then Butterball grabbed the rock and the root and smash, kaboom, he threw them down on the trolls' heads, and they fell down dead. And so Butterball found 2 sacks, and he filled 1 sack with gold and 1 sack with silver, and he ran home to his mother. Snip, snap, snute, nå eventyr ute. Snip, snap, snout, now my tale is told out. Tusen takk, many thanks. for listening.